So this is what we see when we start Vesta. It's a welcome screen that keeps track of your recent projects. Start a new project. You can learn about the software, find out what's new. It's a good way to get everyone up to speed. I'm going to start a new project. Going over to project. I'm going to open something. Now this is something I've already created. It's ready to go. In a different demo, we'll show how to load data, things like that. I just started the project. Let's see what data, what variables are in this data set. We have time. This is when events occurred. Counties in Michigan. Proportion poverty. Driving distance from screening centers to locations of patients. FIPS, which is an identifier. To bring in other data, you can key it into the FIPS. Rate of late-stage diagnosis for breast cancer and its standard deviation. Over here, we have things we can do with the data. I usually begin with a visualization. I like to create a map to start with. So here we're going to use Lower Michigan. We're going to look at rate, again, rate of late-stage diagnosis of breast cancer. And I need a new workspace. I'll put it on a new pane. There it is. That's state of Michigan on a background. Now, if you don't like that background, Vesta comes with a whole host of different backgrounds, or a dozen that are provided free of charge, including satellite imagery for the entire world. So here we're seeing the rate of late-stage diagnosis. This is a high rate right here, this deep red. Notice at the bottom, we also see time. Look at that. So this is a time-enabled data set. We can see how rate of late-stage diagnosis changes through time. I can step through this slowly, which I usually do at first, and then I go faster. It gives me a better idea of what's going on. Clearly, it's getting lighter. Those are lower ones. There are some areas, though, that tend to pop out. This one, for example, that county. That'll come up later in our analysis. So that's very visual. Let's see if we can quantify things a little better. Let's look at the box plot through time. Same data set, Lower Michigan. Rate now is automatically chosen. Put it on a workspace, same workspace, in a new pane. If I wanted to, I could have multiple workspaces. And these are very handy when you have even more complex data sets than this one. So now, here we see the box plot, box and whisker plot that you're probably familiar with, going through time. All right, what's happening to the mean? Indeed, this confirms what we showed earlier. Looks as though it's dropping through time. But also look at what's happening to the variance. The whiskers get thinner, rather shorter and shorter as we go through time. So the mean overall through time looks to be dropping. So late stage cancer, breast cancer diagnosis rate is decreasing. That's good. Something is going on here. Probably an intervention, and my colleague Dr. Govarts will talk about that more in a little bit. We also now, when we animate it, we see, oh look, great, it's highlighting, the box plot is highlighting the time to look at. You can also, of course, look at the bottom here, but it's nice to have this intuitive way of inspecting the data. Okay, so we see the whiskers are bigger and things like that, but how so? Let's see if we can get a little more resolution and look at the histogram of these data, again through time. Lower Michigan, rate. Let's keep it on the same workspace. Let's put it in a new pane. I have to kind of stick that in there. So I'll just minimize that a little bit, make it smaller so we can see the whole thing. And now look at, we have here the histogram of the rate. We have count. This is the number of counties in Lower Peninsula, 68. The minimum, maximum rates. The mean is 0.359 in 1986. Where are the high counties? This is something called statistical brushing. I'm just clicking on that. Aha. So I've selected, let's look here first, 3 counties in this highest value frequency box of the histogram. There they are, highlighted on the map. Look at that. And indeed, we were right. These are the high ones. They have a minimum value of 0.45, a maximum of 0.47, and a mean of 0.46. What happens when we go through time and animate this? We see these are continuing to be tracked. You see that? Oh, we see their values they're actually changing a fair amount. They're going all over the place. We do have, though, this one is a concern. Let's take a look at what's going on here. That's Huron County. That's the one that's the highest. It has the highest rate, 0.4782. Look at that. Shown here, it's a maximum value. And what we can conclude is that at the end of time, this one, of course, tends to stay high, even throughout time. So although the overall rates are dropping, which is good, the policy intervention is effective, this particular one, Huron County, tip of the thumb, might deserve extra attention.